Welcome to Royal Education. My name is Mr. O, and today I'm going to be covering the part 3 for critical reading. For today, I'm going to be focusing a little bit more on a different concept that one of the students or viewers has mentioned to me that they're hoping for me to cover, and I'm going to just post the question up. And other people have also asked me similar questions or general premise that they wanted me to cover more on critical reading, and so I decided, why not? And so I'm here today to go ahead and do so. But today I'm going to be going more in depth on not just like solving problems or discussing strategy anymore or just general strategies how to improve. I'm now going to go ahead and start breaking down the critical reading sections in the different strategies that I have talked about. And today's focus is going to be basically around understanding the words of critical reading. What I mean by understanding the words of critical reading is more around the focus of how do we understand when particular, words come out in critical reading that you should know? How do you approach such situations? Along with when do you have to notice those type of words coming out? And so I'm focusing more around the meaning and understanding when there are certain tones or certain shifts that are occurring in critical reading so that you could anticipate or even predict particular questions coming out on the critical reading section. But I'm going to go ahead in another video afterwards, go into breaking down on how to study for SAT words, but today's more focused around just critical reading itself. And so I'm going to go ahead and do so. I'm going to flip. So this passage is from the practice test 1. Feel free to push the description below to expand it, and you'll find the link to this question. But to this passage. But that being stated, I'm going to be focusing more around going a little bit more slowly this time. I'm not going to be doing my actual test speed, but to actually show you what happens when I see certain particular words and breaking down sort of my thinking when I'm doing this critical reading passage. And so I'm going to go ahead and get started on this passage, and then I'll talk to you step by step through the process of this specific critical reading passage, which is the number 11 through 21 portion on the specifically practice test 1 and section 1. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. So this passage, number 11 to 21 says, this passage is adapted from Francis Flynn and Gabriel S. Adams by Money Can't Buy Love, a symmetric belief around gift price and appreciation. So not too important, didn't give me too much context. I'm going to go ahead and continue. Every day, millions of shoppers hit the stores in full force, both online and on foot, searching frantically. Ooh, interesting. Frantically. So frantically, automatically, that caught my attention a little bit because frantically is a very particular word. It doesn't mean that they're just rushing. They're really in this urgent sort of mindset of figuring out what to find for the perfect gift. Okay? So I underlined that. Last year, Americans spent over $30 million in the month of December alone. Besides from purchasing online gifts, most people regularly buy presents from other occasions throughout the year, including weddings, birthdays, anniversaries, graduations, and baby showers. This frequent experience of gift giving can engender ambivalent. Ooh. So automatically, this caught my attention, these two words, engender, ambivalent feel, like these two words. So automatically, I could tell right off that they could have just told me that this frequent experience can bring about sort of just general, basic feelings or like not very emotional feelings. But particularly in this passage, I just caught on right now that they use the words engender ambivalent feelings, which means that it brings about this very like happy and sad sort of mixed sort of bleh feeling about gift giving. Okay, why do they mention those words? Automatically I'm thinking, well, there's going to be, this passage starts off with talking about gift giving, and it already is giving me the tone that there's not as positive image about doing this gift giving process as I expected it to be, because they talk about anniversary, birthdays, and such. So I assumed that it was going to be a little bit more positive, but now I'm realizing it's not as positive as I expected. Okay, continuing on. Many relish the opportunity to buy presents because gift giving offers a powerful means to build bonds with one's closest peers. At the same time, many dread the thought of buying gifts. They worry that their purchases will disappoint rather than delight the recipient. So there's this conflicted feeling right here already. And I already sort of got that context already by this sentence right here, to engender ambivalent. So I didn't need to read so much in depth per se right here. But I wanted to just make it very clear that even before I read that portion where I already showed conflicted feelings or bracketed it right here, I already anticipated that even without having to read it. And so I'm going to go ahead and continue right here. Anthropologists describe gift giving as a positive social process serving various political, religious, and psychological functions. Economists, however, offer a less favorable view. So you see right here, there's a constant dichotomy. And what I mean by dichotomy means that there's a split between two constant feelings that exist. That it's not always 100% gift giving is a positive thing, but at the same time, it's not 100% a negative thing too. There's constantly a pros and cons that sort of exist in this gift giving process. According to Vogel, gift-giving represents an objective waste of resources. People buy gifts that recipients would not choose to buy on their own, or at least not spend as much money to purchase, a phenomenon referred to as the deadweight loss of Christmas. To wit, givers are likely to spend $100 to purchase a gift that receivers would spend only $80 to buy themselves. This deadweight loss suggests that gift givers are not very good at predicting what gifts others will appreciate. That in itself is not surprising to social psychologists. Interesting. So automatically they're talking about this sort of dichotomy that exists in the thinking process when they're doing this gift giving process, and that there's this deadweight loss. That being stated, I'm not really finding anything really significant coming out of this portion. No words automatically coming off, but it does tell me right here, this not surprising. It's already a perspective thing, right? That already certain people find it in one perspective a certain way, other professionals find it in another way. And so that's why I underline that. It's not particular, but just something to note, okay? Researchers have found that people often struggle to take account of others' perspectives. Their insights are subject to egocentrism, social projection, and multiple attribution errors. Okay. Interesting. What is surprising is that gift givers have considerable experience acting as both gift givers and gift recipients, but nevertheless tend to overspend each time they set out to purchase a meaningful gift. Okay, so the idea is this overspending. Okay, that I didn't catch it on the first time, but they mention it here that they spend quite a bit generally, and they talk about this overspending idea here, but they emphasize it again. So I'm starting to realize, okay, there's some sort of theme that's going on that's based around the idea of overspending when it comes to gift, even when you have this experience generally consistently. Okay. In the present research, we propose a unique psychological explanation for this overspending problem. Oh, it's a problem. Okay. That gift givers equate how much they spend with how much recipients will appreciate the gift. The more expensive the gift, the stronger the gift recipient's feeling of appreciation. Although a link between gift price and feelings of appreciation might seem intuitive to gift givers, such an assumption may be unfounded. Ooh, unfounded. That's a strong word. Strong word right here. So you have to understand, when we're doing these passages, I'm not underlining just like random, vocabulary words or like SAT words that automatically, ooh, it looks like a big word, I'm going to underline. No. The strategy behind this is that these words, particular words that are used in these passages, have to build towards a perspective. It needs to build towards whether or not it's a positive experience or a negative experience. Or if it's just very factual, like a science article. But that being stated, usually even scientific articles has a stance that they're making a pro or a con in these SAT essays. That way, automatically, it's just telling me this dichotomous feeling, and this is not a very straightforward essay. Critical reading passage. It's a passage that automatically it's telling me right now that they're giving me the understanding of the psychological thinking of gift givers, and then they're telling me the complexities that exist. Because they're like here in this sentence, it says right here, although a link between gift price and the feelings of appreciation might be intuitive to gift givers, such assumption may be found. It means that even though we find prices or whatever not, we try to buy more expensive items in the hopes that it reciprocates a more positive experience or a positive reaction from people. It's not always the case, and that's unfounded. It's against our logic. And that's why this is a very strong word. Yes, it is not an SAT word, but it is still a word that gives me a perspective upon what the opinion of the author is, or opinion of the subject is. Indeed, we propose that gift recipients will be less inclined to base their feelings of appreciation on the magnitude of a gift than the givers assume. Why do gift givers assume that gift price is closely linked to gift recipients' feelings of appreciation? Okay, now they're posing a question. So the particular thing about this is that because they pose a question, I know the fact there is something particular about this part. That because they're posing a question, I need to know that there's some sort of explanation to this logic or this thinking or to someone's perspective, or maybe at times not per se for this article, but sometimes it's a rhetorical question that's supposed to build up to a opinion and whatever not. So these particular words are really important, especially when they're posed in a question, okay? Perhaps givers believe that bigger gifts convey, bigger, i.e. more expensive gifts, convey stronger signals of thoughtfulness and consideration. According to Camille, etc., and others, gift giving represents a symbolic ritual where symbolic ritual when gift givers attempt to signal their positive attitude with a willingness to invest into a future relationship. Okay. I'm not underlining anything in this particular portion. The main reason why is because this is just explaining that logic, that question. I'm not going to find anything really substantial or significant. It's just automatically I know it's the answer to the question that's prior. So I don't need to spend too much time on this portion. And so I know this whole paragraph, most likely, it's just going to be an explanation. Literally a whole explanation on this question. And so I don't need to waste too much time. Just be aware that when you're doing these tests, these sort of skills come with practice. And so just be aware of that, okay? The notion of gift givers and gift recipients being unable to account for other parties' perspective seems puzzling because people slip in and out of these roles every day. Ooh, slip in and out. Interesting. That's just an interesting phraseology. And puzzling because these roles in some cases multiple times in the course of the same day. Yet, despite the extensive experience that people have of both gift givers and receivers, they often struggle to transfer information gained from one role, i.e. as a giver, and apply it to another complementary role, i.e. as a receiver. In theoretical terms, people fail to utilize information about their own preferences and experiences in order to produce more efficient outcomes for their exchange relations. Okay, I just underline puzzling, slip in and out, whatever not. It's because it's just giving the perspective that this is a very complex, feeling or phenomena that's going on. And that's what they're trying to really push this sort of memo in the tone of this. Okay. In practical terms, people spend hundreds of dollars each year on gifts, but somehow never learn to calibrate their gift expenditures according to personal insight. Okay. So, I'm going to go ahead and now, based on this passage, duly note, I'm just going to try to target particularly ones that emphasize more like word and tone sort of stuff. And, I'll go ahead and continue on from there. Oh, look at that. Look at number 12, for example. I just noticed. This question automatically has the word ambivalent. If you duly know in the prior passage, I underlined this engender ambivalent portion because I know this is not just because it's the SAT word, as I mentioned before. It's because it gives me a perspective or gives me an understanding as to what this passage or the direction this passage is going. And so that gives me a benefit of understanding that, okay, I'm in the right direction. I hit some of the points right here. So number 12 is an interesting situation. And I told you that even though I know the definition of ambivalent, be aware that you must make sure, as I said before, to bring it back to the context of the passage. Just because automatically right here it says like A is unrealistic, B is conflicted, C is apprehensive, D is supportive. Well, automatically based on the passage I read, and let's say I didn't know the definition of ambivalent, which is possible. Some people don't know the definition. I'm automatically no, it's not going to be supportive right off, right? And I don't think it's going to be even apprehensive. And the reason why is because apprehensive is a strong word. Apprehensive, if you didn't know the word, means that it means like very like uptight, fearful, in almost like leaning way, fearful in a way. And so I just think that's too strong of a word in this passage. I told you before, I feel like there's this constant conflict that exists, between this passage where it's like, oh, like they spend like this, but why people do it like this and whatever not. And so automatically I know it's going to be B. For this question, just because of what I've seen. Unrealistic doesn't really make sense because it's not saying that this is unrealistic expectations or anything like that. It's just saying that there's conflicting feelings for people, okay? So, let's see. Number 11 was an example question. That's not more emphasis on word. It's more about just general passage, per se. Number 13 says right here, the author indicates that people value gift giving because they feel, well, it's because... Well, let's look at the choices. I'm just going to do this question real quick. Can serve to strengthen a relationship, requires the gift recipient to reciprocate, is an inexpensive way to show appreciation. And then the last one says the function is a form of self-expression. Well, they said 13. Well, B automatically I know is not right. Because automatically, when I was reading this, I told you before, in the passage it says that people spend too much, right? They spend too much, even though there's no reciprocation of value behind it, okay? Requires the gift recipient, it never says that the gift recipient has to give back the gift. It doesn't never say that. So it becomes very ambiguous at this point, whether or not it functions as a form of self-expression or serves to strengthen a relationship. But that being stated, I don't recall as much the moments when they say self-expression. They didn't say that I don't recall ever in this passage saying that, oh, like they make the gift sort of look like their identity or who they are, and then they believe that gift giving, does that sort of thing where the gift reflects the individual's identity, and never really says anything like that sort. But automatically it does touch upon this, strengthen the relationship, and I like this word strengthen a relationship, the wording right here, and the reason why is that it automatically talks about this fact that if I kept looking through this passage a little bit, it says right here, I sort of talked about this, this gift giving as a positive social process. It forms, amongst social process in political purposes, religious, the dichotomous thing. And it automatically says, it talks about this giving and taking sort of thing and how this gift phenomena comes around. And so automatically, I'm already leaning towards this, the relationship, because there's more than one person involved in this type of process. It emphasizes this sort of giving to other people and what happens. So it's not a self-expression by any means. It doesn't make sense in that context, okay? And so I'm going to continue on. I'm just going to continue and finish up this the questions, the random questions. I'm going to skip some because some of these are not really emphasized on word. It's just more like context and evidence. Like number 14 is a context and evidence question. I'm not too worried about it, you know what I mean? But let's say for 15, the social psychologist mentions in passage 2, lines 17 to 34, will most likely describe the dead weight loss phenomena as, well, they talk about this dead, if you look at social psychologists, automatically, I was talking about right here. This in itself is not surprising to social psychologists, and so automatically for me, right now it says right here, research found that people often struggle to take into account other perspectives or whatever not. See, there's another perspective question, particularly based on the words. I'm already able to predict particular questions that are starting to come out. So going back to number 15. If it says there was not a surprise, it's not disturbing, it's not unprecedented. Unprecedented being that, wow, this is something of a new nature. This is the first time this ever happened, which is not at all true. It's not questionable, it's definitely predictable, right? Because they expected it. They said it's not surprising. And so that's what I imagine will be the answer for number 15. To continue on to number 16. The passage indicates that the assumption made by gift givers may be, okay, well, this is another citation thing and get understanding context. So I'm not going to really focus on it. But that being stated, I'm just going to give the answer for this one. In line 41 to 44, let's see. It says a unique psychological phenomena where the overspending problem that gift givers equate how much, spending with how much recipients will appreciate the gift. The more expensive, although, yeah, whatever not. Okay. The assumption is being made that for number 16, it looks like that they're wrong. It's incorrect. I'm going to say that straight out. Because insincere means that they don't really care. That's not true. Unreasonable, maybe. Substantiated doesn't make sense. It's not very supported. Unreasonable doesn't make sense too, because it's not saying that they're like, oh, this makes no logical sense. It does make logical sense in a weird way. In the sense that because... And this passage keeps reiterating this fact that because we always give gifts to other people and whatever not, we want to sort of reiterate it through buying more expensive gifts, but that's not always the case, that people reciprocate that feeling. So automatically 16, I knew from that. Okay, continue on to the next part. So 17's a citation thing again. 18, convey. Ooh, this one I did not underline, but it does happen, 54, if we look at 54 right here, perhaps givers believe that bigger, more expensive gifts convey stronger signals. Ooh, convey. Okay. So number 18, it says in line 54, convey most literally means, I don't think it's transport. Transport is like a physical, moving something over to the next thing and whatever not. So it doesn't really make logical sense. But then let's look at it again, and this is where I'm saying like sometimes you have to go back and forth a little bit. Perhaps gift givers believe that bigger gifts convey stronger signal. Convey. So it's not counteract. Counteract means to like sort of change it, or to react against something else. Like if someone says something, you counteract it with another witty statement or something like that. Exchange literally means like trading, like you're trading items for something else, right? And that's not really the purpose of this. It's you're trying to tell to someone else. It's not a two-way street. You're just trying to tell to someone else how much they care, how much you care. So that's why it's more like a communicate. You're just telling them straight out. Okay, so that's 18. 19 doesn't seem like a very relevant to this context. Refers to work in order to, it's more of like a perspective thing. 20 says the graph follows the evidence given how much a gift giver appreciates based on like to attribute. So these are more main idea, like bigger, broader picture, not word focused things. And so hopefully this was very helpful. If you want the answers are also in the website link that I gave below. And that concludes what I'll be talking about for today. Thank you so much for watching this video. Please do click the subscribe button, or feel free to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, since we'll be posting updates and so on about our videos and different articles and so on that I write about. That being stated, make sure to also leave a comment below if you have any questions, anything you want me to cover in the videos, since I'm hoping to continue to help you guys through this journey of high school and beyond. And I hope you have a wonderful day.